Breaking James Bond news. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein cast as James Bond.
Breaking James Bond news. Frankenstein actually the name of the doctor, not the creature.
This is Breaking James Bond news. Denis Villeneuve is apparently going to cast Jacob Elordi, an Australian, as James Bond. This would be the second Aussie Bond.
Oh, yeah? Oh, no, that's true, actually. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's not actually a big deal then, really, is it? But people's biggest problem, emphasis on the word big, is that he's too tall to play Bond. So there's been all these memes that I've seen of like Russian mobsters being like, we need to find the British spy. Where is he? Oh, wait, there's a 7-foot man.
There's a 7-foot, very, very handsome man in the crowd.
He's wearing slutty sunglasses and he looks really good and brooding.
He's got a lovely little pawn tash on his lip.
I think I recognised him from Saltburn.
What's your actual opinion about this, though, Adam? Are you a fan of it or not?
I don't mind Jacob Elordi at all. I think he's a good actor for sure. I'm not as crazy about him as other people seem to be. I feel like Saltburn, no pun intended, really did leave a bad taste in my mouth, and I didn't even lick his bathwater. So yeah, it's one of those. I'm not against it. I think there's better actors they could pick, but if that happens, then so be it. I don't want to write him off before I see what you can do. You know.
Yeah, no negative Nellies here. We're famously very positive on this show. I'm of a similar opinion. I think I'd rather they get a British guy. The one that everyone keeps saying in all the comments of all the like news articles and stuff, people are like, well, why are you saying that? Callum Turner is right there. And that's, I think, everyone's pick at the minute, is they want Callum Turner to do it. And I think that's quite a good pick. I think he's got quite like a masculine like face. It'll kind of bring it back maybe to that. Yeah, it would bring it back to sort of a bit Sean Connery like, where you got like a proper sort of bloke doing it.
Yeah.
I guess Daniel Craig was that as well. But no, I don't hate Jacob Elordi at all. He's very handsome. He's very good at acting, but I don't think he's right for Bond.
No, it's hard to place my finger on exactly why, but you're right. He, at least to my mind, he's not Bond. I think he could play a great spy, but not James Bond. Yeah, so maybe he's sort of in the Henry Cavill boat, perhaps. But yeah, it remains to be seen. We'll see how it all pans out.
So you've said he'll make a brilliant spy. I think Jacob Elordi would make a great cat to sit on Blofeld's lap.
Yes. Yeah, that is so true. I mean, you've seen Frankenstein. You've seen him crawl through the sewers. He could absolutely do that as a cat. Knock a few things as he goes along, do a bit of purring, lick his hand. He'd be great at that.
Hello and welcome to Movie On Up, episode 96, with your hosts, me, Alfie Walker.
And me, Adam Barlow.
How are you doing, Adam? How's your week been? On form in this blue January?
Yep, yeah, we made it through Blue Monday, didn't we? I did in the most spectacular of fashions, actually. It was a pretty last-minute trip. Went to see Mark Kermode at the BFI and went to the Wes Anderson Archives at the Design Museum in London. So I got to see Fantastic Mr. Fox himself. He was there, behind a glass case. Who else was there? A little Jeff Goldblum book from the Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, where he's got the little he's got glasses on, but also the snorkeling goggles on, and he was just looking really silly.
And how was the Mark Kermode thing? You didn't really tell me much about this, but what was it? It was just him on the stage chatting to Dudley from Harry Potter, wasn't it? The one from Pillion.
Yeah. How many are there? 36. Come to them myself. Yes, it was pretty much that. So he's had this monthly residence at the BFI for 10 years now. In fact, the time I went marked 10 years, which was a complete coincidence. I think they'd already had their 100th show in like March last year, but this time was actually like 10 years since they started it. So it's been going since 2016, and it was sort of like the Graham Norton show, but really hyper specific to film. So they brought out the director of H's for Hawk and the composer. They had the director of Crime 101, that new Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo film that looks really good. I think Halle Berry's in there as well. They had Harry Melling from Pillion, a film you reviewed very favourably. One I still haven't seen because, again, showtimes were only at like 10:30 and something stupid. So I'm gonna have to rent that at some point because I've heard nothing but good things. And he spoke so eloquently as well. You can tell he's an actor that just picks his projects so purposefully. And Mark Kermode was, I mean, that was just a joy to see him in person anyway, because he's a real institution in the film critic world. And you and I listen to his podcast every now and then. We watch his YouTube reviews. You know, he was on Radio 5 for years, and is just one of those people that I think if you're into film in the UK, you know who Mark Kermode is. So to see him and hear him speak about film was yeah, really cool.
I think he'd be excellent to go for a beer with. He seems like you would like see him in a pub and you'd be like, "Do you want a beer, Mark?" And he'd say yes. And I think he'd happily chat for for 10 minutes with you about something. He seems nice. He's super knowledgeable, and
Mm.
he is, like you said, very renowned. But he also seems like he's got his sort of head screwed on, and he's open to like sort of get to know people. He seems like a decent dude. I think he'd be excellent to have a beer with. He'd probably be on my dinner party list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he seems great.
Yeah, that's such a good shout. He would be a great dinner guest because he's funny, but he's also really. I don't get the sense that he's got an ego because he's
Yes,
part of a
that's what it is.
band and things. Like he's always going round. I think locally he's always getting the train and doing gigs around the Dorset and Hampshire area. I'm pretty sure. I think he might live down here. I'm not too sure, but yeah, he just seems really nice, and you can tell he knows his stuff. Of course he does. He's been doing it for years, but you can tell he's knowledgeable, but not to the extent not to the extent where he'd undercut you if you didn't know something. You know?
Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah, exactly. Much more eloquently said than me there, Adam. Well done. What films are we reviewing this week? We've got the big one. We're going to do a spoiler talk. We're going to review 28 years later, The Bone Temple. Everyone's raving about it. We've got some opinions. Looking forward to talking about that. What else are we talking about today, Adam?
Yeah, I'm also going to be talking about Brendan Fraser's next film after his Oscar win a couple of years ago for The Whale, a film called Rental Family, directed by Hikaru. I think I've said that right. Sorry, Hikari. Hikari. Very good. A really sweet film, so I'm excited to talk about that one. And No Other Choice as well, which was probably one of the biggest Oscar snubs this year, which we'll get into the nominations in just a second. But yeah, No Other Choice, great watch. Even though it's not in the Academy Award picks this year, I'd absolutely recommend you go and see it because it's really fun.
As Adam said there, let's get onto that, shall we? Should we talk about some Oscar nominations? They came out. When did they come out? That was on Thursday, wasn't it?
Yes.
They were announced on Thursday about 1 o'clock. We had Danielle Brooks and Bob Lewis Pullman announcing them. Let's talk about it, Adam. Any big standouts from you? The biggest thing I've thought, or I've seen, is that I don't think there's many surprises there. I think we guessed all of them pretty much, and everyone's been guessing them. I think there's sort of no. I feel like last year there was a real uproar of sort of when Anora got some, maybe, or just certain films were in there, and people were like, "Why is that on there?" I think overall, I could have guessed that Best Picture thing easily. I think we pretty much did.
Yeah. I think the only surprise for me was that No Other Choice wasn't in there. People were up in arms about Wicked for Good not being in here at all. I guess maybe it could have had a couple of hair and makeup things, but it won all that last year, and I don't think the costumes were drastically different enough to warrant it getting it again. And let's be honest, I think now the dust has settled on that whole thing, Wicked for Good, pretty underwhelming. So I'm not entirely mad about that. Have you seen F1? Because people are up in arms about that being in Best Picture.
I mean, I don't agree that F1 should be there. I think that is one where I've gone, why is that there? If 28 years later isn't there, why is F1 there? That's what's throwing me, is that 28 years later has got nothing. And we were both up for putting that in multiple categories in our movie on Uppies last week. If you haven't listened to that, go give that a listen, where we tell you what we think the best films of the year were. Yeah, I think even score for 28 years later, cinematography for 28 years later, Danny Boyle was on something, and when he does these films, and they're so excellent. And I think it should have been up there with Best Picture. I really do. But you are a huge fan of F1, but then it's your forte, right? You like F1, so that makes sense.
But even it's a real surprise that that's there. Also, imagine being James Cameron and like
Yeah,
no Avatar
right?
nominated. Oh no, actually no. I think it must be in VFX. Let me double check. It's got to be.
Let's have a look.
Yes, no, it is. Fair enough. Okay, I was going to say that, but I don't think it'll win it. Like
No,
they
I
can't
don't
give it to it
either.
again. It's
No.
basically the same thing. Yeah. So F1, it's a really fun film. The soundtrack slaps. It's really just excellently put together, and I think Brad Pitt, Damson Idris. It's a really fun film to watch, especially if you're a fan of the sport. Is it a Best Picture nominee? No. I think the only reason it's here is because of Joe Krasinski's past success with Top Gun Maverick, right? But I mean, it can't be,
On that merit
surely.
alone, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, let's just rattle through a couple of them. So, yeah, Best Picture, we've got Begonia, Frankenstein, F1, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Secret Agent, I've not watched that one yet, but I heard good things about it, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams. Like you said, not many surprises there. F1 is the only one that people are kind of in, not outrage, but maybe a bit strucken by. And to be honest, I'm seeing people turn on Sinners now because it's got the most amount of nominations for a film ever. And now people are
Yeah.
like, oh, well, it's not that good. Like everyone was praising it to hell like last week. It just seems people
Yeah.
just, the moment something becomes popular, people switch on a dime.
It's always the case, isn't it? Sorry, I meant Joseph Kosinski, not Krasinski. That's obviously the actor. Yeah, I think I would have liked for no other choice to have taken F1's place. People have said Begonia doesn't deserve to be there. I've started watching Begonia. I rented it last night in Ultra HD for a tenner. Sorry, bought it for a tenner.
Oh, cool.
And
Okay, nice.
I'm about 2/3 of the way through, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying
What are
it.
you at? What part are you at? That's cool.
The police officer's just rocked up, and he's trying to distract him so they don't
Oh,
find
okay, cool. No,
the
it
body.
just goes, yeah,
Yeah,
okay. It just goes off the charts from there. Cool.
I've been enjoying it so far. I still think like every now and then, as I lean into it, it will then cut to a scene that's like, oh, what's going on here? And I'll like sit back, like, oh yeah, I don't really like this. But then I think overall, it's quite, it's very inventively put together. I think the script is quite witty and quite funny, and I like the performances. So I'm pleasantly surprised so far. We'll see how the last act pans out. The Secret Agent obviously isn't out yet, so we haven't seen that. Yeah, but with Sinners getting 16 nominations, I think we had this whole discussion in the Pulp Kitchen Discord this week, and it got quite heated, I can't lie, about saying like, does it really have great visual effects? Is it really worth the cinematography? And actually, while on face value, something getting 16 nominations, it sort of is implicit that it's the best film ever made, which is obviously not the case. There's more ways of judging a film than the awards, as we know. But someone made the good point that actually, if you take a look at each individual category that's nominated in, and you had to boot one out, like the weakest in that category, I think in every case, there's something else apart from Sinners that you would boot out first. So
Mm.
actually, it deserves to be in each category quite comfortably, I'd say. And whether or not it wins, well, I think it's pretty safe to say it won't win all 16. That would
No,
be
I don't think it
ridiculous.
will. Yeah.
In fact, I think it might lose quite a few of them. I'd be surprised if it wins half of them because it's up against One Battle After Another, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value. I'd like to give a shout out to that. I think you really enjoyed that, didn't you? All
Mm.
four of the core performances in that are nominated in the acting categories, which is brilliant. I mean, that's, wonderful news for that film. A great, sensitive film to watch. So definitely would recommend that one. But do you and I want Sinners to win the Best Picture, I presume?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what we said last week, and I do still agree. Out of all of them, I think it, like you've said, that's such a good way of putting it. In each category, it does do each of those individual things great, which is the definition of why it's been nominated. It hasn't won all 16. If it wins all 16, I would have the opinion of no, this isn't right.
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke should get Best Actor. Stellan Skarsgård should get Supporting Actor. Do you know what I mean? There is definitely these ones where I'm like, no, this shouldn't win this category. I hope it does win some, but I mean, we'll see, won't we? When is it? Is it the first Sunday in Feb this year?
It's a bit further back. I think it's
Is it the last Sunday in Feb? Yeah.
15th of March.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
didn't realize it was that
little
late.
while,
Bloody
yeah.
hell.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. I think, to be honest, the front runner is still One Battle After Another for directing and Best Picture, which I'm totally fine with, to be honest. Paul Thomas Anderson's been doing excellent work for the last, 25, 30 years. So if it goes to him, that's more than fair, I think. But yeah. good on Sinners. I think it's going to get a lot of flack now, and so is F1. But not to take away from F1's technical achievement. I think if anything gets visual effects, maybe F1 deserves it because of.
Mm.
I mean, I saw a video that Apple TV put out the other day, and actually they've kept it quite behind the scenes, all the way that they filmed it and show it, how much they replaced and digitally enhanced. They did a lot, and I think when you watch the film, it all feels incredibly realistic. So
That may be
you can't
part of
knock
their
it for that.
marketing ploy, you know. That may have been the whole, right, let's save all this behind the scenes for when we get nominated and then we can release it and it will boost our chances. Because,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. It's probably exactly what they did. Amazing. Is there anything else you think that any other snubs that we should mention? Or people have been a bit upset that Paul Mescal hasn't got a supporting actor nomination.
I can't comment on that yet. I haven't seen Hamnet yet. It's out in the UK Sunday, I think. It's not actually out here yet, is it? No, it is out. It came out last week. I'm thinking of the other one. But no, I haven't caught it yet, but I will do. But I've seen a lot of people saying that it's Jessie Buckley who really holds that film up. She's the one who deserves the nomination there. So good on her.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think
Let me
that has
just
a good
check.
chance of getting score, potentially, Hamnet. One you mentioned, actually, Miles Catton not getting the supporting actor.
Supporting. Yeah, absolutely. And it went to is it Delroy Lindo instead, the guy who plays the old man? And I do get that. I do get the hype. Um, it's a very good performance, especially when you're first introduced to him.
Yeah.
But I think it's slightly. If I was Miles Catton, I'd be like, people had hyped him up. He's got the Rising Star, or nominated for it. He's been nominated in the Golden Globes, wasn't he, as well? I think. If I was him, I would have thought, oh my God, I might get an Oscar nom. And then he
Yeah.
hasn't. And I'd be like, oh, poor man. But I think he's got plenty of time to do something else because clearly he's got the legs on him. He's very, very good in that film.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, final thing to mention, I suppose, would be Retirement Plan getting in officially in the
Absolutely.
nominee list.
Yeah.
Come on.
We have now interviewed an Oscar nominee, guys. If you
Yeah.
haven't caught that episode, go back. It's just two back. It's just labeled as a bonus episode where we interview John Kelly, who is the director and creator of Retirement Plan, the animated short film that, has now been nominated for the Oscars, an Academy Award. How cool. You can tell which one we're hoping wins on the big night.
Now then, a quick spoiler warning. So do skip this episode or skip this review if you don't want to be spoiled for 28 years later, The Bone Temple, which is...
And then come back once you've watched it, of course. Don't
Of
tell
course,
them to
yeah,
just
yeah.
skip it, Adam.
Sorry, no. Yeah, just unsubscribe and rate our podcast 1 star if you don't know. Please don't do that. This is the 4th entry in the 28 later franchise, I guess is what we're calling
Catchy.
it. Yes. Written by Alex Garland, directed by Nia DaCosta. It was shot back to back with the last 28 Years Later film. Stars Ray Fiennes, Jack O'Connell, Alfie Williams, Erin Kellyman, and Chi Lewis Parry. It is a more gory, sort of morally dark, but also quite fun horror film, I suppose. It's a bit, I don't know if it's a horror, it's more of a thriller, I suppose. It's got a few jump scares in there, but I think some of the ideas in there and some of the violence is maybe the more shocking side of it. People have been really lapping this up. They really, really like it. Alfie, what did you think?
Yeah, I'm of the opinion. Well, I did really, really enjoy it. I don't think, and I'll speak for you here, Adam. I don't think we enjoyed it as much as some people. Some people are saying, "Wow, like this is as good or better as 28 Days," which I don't think is the case. However, I do think it's a really good film, and I'd say it's on par, maybe a little bit lower down than the previous. It's sat with me for the past couple of days since seeing it, and all I can think about is some of the scenes in the film. You know which scene I'm thinking about and which scene I want to go rewatch right now because it's so bloody good.
Yeah.
I think though, Adam, the main thing there is that you've said this film isn't a horror, and I think that's just your tolerance for horror films going away because this film is a horror for sure, mate. I think your tolerance for horror films must be getting so much better because you'd never watched something like this before, and now you've got this film and you enjoyed it and you could handle the gore in this.
Yeah. I'm quite stunned a little bit because everyone's been saying like, "Oh, this is so gnarly, man. It's really gruesome and it takes it to the next level." I really don't buy that at all. I thought the last film was far more graphic and dark. I don't know, but obviously the parallels to Jimmy Savile are in here, but that's not. I don't think they actually lean into it all that much beyond the names
No.
and the appearance, right? They don't really ever say his
Yeah.
surname.
The
So,
catchphrase as well, right? Didn't
oh yeah,
he
of course, yeah,
did
yeah,
he used to say that, or used to say, "How's that then?" or something? Like,
yeah,
yeah, there's the parallels are there, but they could have leaned into it more. You're very right.
yeah. But it's the kind of, again, spoilers. The scene that you probably want to talk about in regards to this is the skinning scene, right, or the degloving, whatever they call it. Yeah, it was all right. I thought it looked a bit. I don't know. It didn't look very realistic to me. I know people have said the screams are quite guttural and really uncomfortable. But to be honest, having watched Begonia last night or some of it, I thought the scene where she gets electrocuted was more violent and more distressing, personally, than this. And I think I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe I have just become immune to all this stuff. Maybe I'm above this. I don't know. I don't know. I think if I'm going to watch Weapons as well, seeing as that's now been nominated, I think that might catch me out.
You could handle. No,
Oh, you
if you
reckon?
can watch this, you can watch Weapons. Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so let's start at the beginning then, shall we? So this film picks up maybe what half an hour after the first, and we've
Yeah.
got Spike who is being sort of broken into this weird cult. They are very much trying to imitate what you see in A Clockwork Orange. Have you ever seen that, Adam? Because this group of Jimmies are clearly meant to be the Droogs from that, which is this like criminal gang that are, it's completely different setting, obviously, but it's like a criminal gang going through the country doing what they do, yeah, abusing people, torturing people, hurting people, and their weirdness and kookiness and the way they fight is clearly meant to be, I think it's very clearly a Clockwork Orange kind of thing. They are initiating Spike into the clan of Jimmys, right? They're all called Jimmy, and we've got them in the swimming pool, empty swimming pool, where they are fighting, and Spike obviously prevails. How did you think it started? Do you think it picked up well? Like, did it get you straight back into the film or not?
I think it did. The thing I was most excited to see was how they do the title card because obviously every other one has just been 28x later, dot, dot, dot. But this one, they've also got to fit the bone temple in, which I thought actually did work quite well because they do it with a needle drop, which was quite fun. Um, you know what? I think the biggest jump scare in this film was like literally the opening minute where it has all the noise of the swimming pool building up as the outbreak is happening, and I don't think I had to cover my ears. It was incredibly loud, the sound mixing in my cinema. So
Yeah, it was. It was in ours as well, so it's obviously on purpose.
that really that actually almost induced a panic attack, but that was really uncomfortable. So I think yeah, I was in it. I was like, oh okay, they're not fucking around here. Yeah, it got me in.
I think it starts off well. I think doing because it's not a part two, but it really is a part two, isn't it? It's as much a part two as you like Deathly Hallows or Hunger Games part two. It picks up straight away and just continues the same story. I think visually you can tell it's a very different film and a different approach because I think what it's missing for me is it doesn't have the experimental, the weird, some would say, the sort of hyper realistic or yeah, slightly surreal visuals that you have in 28 days and
Mm,
then 28 years. The flashbacks in that, his mum in the sea with the red eyes flashing to the zombies with all the red,
yeah,
just when they're running across the bridge and you've got the sky shining. There's always something a bit surreal in these films, and there is in the first one as well, you get it. And I think that's missing here, and that's obviously just a Danny Boyle thing. That's because he did not direct this. But I think Nia DaCosta, it was pretty damn good in this film compared to her previous film, which was what, The Marvels,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
the remake of Candyman, which was just fine. This is okay, she's got the potential to do something really, really good. And it'll be so interesting to see if she does the third one or if Danny Boyle does the third one or if they get someone completely different.
Yeah, it would be nice to switch it up, just let people have their own stamps on it, perhaps. But yeah, you're right. I think Danny Boyle can sometimes get a bit carried away with himself. You can tell this one's a bit more restrained, at least in the way that it's shot. But I think Nia DaCosta did a very sterling job, and as you say, shows a bit more promise than she did with the Marvels. Um, yeah, the film sort of continues. You then pick up with, I think this was my favourite part of the film. It's basically split in two ways. So you follow the Jimmies sort of for half the time, and then you have Dr. Kelson, played once again by Ralph Fiennes, who is communicating with Samson, the big alpha zombie from the last film, still with his balls and, meat and two veg hanging about all over the place. Well-endowed man he is. They have a really great connection, and I really liked their scenes. I think that's where it has potential to be better than 28 Years Later. For me, I don't want to zoom in on it too much just yet, because I know we're just talking about the plot, but for me, I didn't see the need for the Jimmies to be in this film, and in fact in the franchise whatsoever. I understand it's there to show like how sadistic and how mental people have gone in this outbreak, but for me, there was no reason for him to be teased at the end of the last film, because that implies that they're going to be a big part of the trilogy, but they don't, again, spoilers, they don't make it out of this film, and where they end up at the end of the film, frankly, I think could have happened at the end of the last film. So I'm like, this kind of feels to me like a bit of a, not a pointless side quest, because Dr. Kelson and Samson do, really change the lore in this world. But for me, it felt a bit like a bottle episode, a bit of filler stuff that didn't really need to happen. I don't know. Maybe I'm being quite cynical there.
No, I get what you're saying. I think the Jimmy stuff with Kelson is excellent and pushes
Yeah.
Kelson forward really well and makes
Yeah,
you
sure.
see a slightly different side of Kelson. And you're right, the Kelson and Samson stuff is the best stuff in the film. It's the stuff that makes me go, like, theoretically, you wouldn't be able to. I guess the run times are quite short, but you could potentially have put more Kelson and Samson stuff in the last, and it wouldn't have been in this one, and it would have worked as well. But the way they sit on it, and with him talking to Samson, and especially the scene on the train with Samson,
Yeah.
they're so good. And the moment that scene kicked in, as soon as we got him, I think it really escalates. I think the beginning is slightly teetering. I'm not affected by gore. I like Saw and all those kind of films. But what you've said there, I think the Jimmy stuff is just slightly pointless. I thought they were going to be in the next film as well, and that was going to be the big bad that you've got, spoiler warning, Cillian Murphy fighting. I thought that's
Yeah.
what we were going to build up to. But no, they don't make it out the film, and they die in an excellent way, and they slowly get picked off, and the whole scene that we will get onto in a bit with Ralph Fiennes and Iron Maiden playing. Yeah, it's excellent, but you're quite right. It just sort of feels almost like they weren't there for anything. They've obviously boosted the development of the plot, and they've made Spike, and you've now got this girl who's, I guess, now a new main character for the next film. But yeah, I do agree. I just think they're slightly lackluster, and I think it really hung on that the skinning scene, or when they invade the house. It was just going on too long. I was just like, right, I get the point. They're really, really vile. You've already dressed them up as a paedophile. I know they're meant to be evil.
Yeah.
I don't need to spend 40 minutes with them torturing a family. That's the bit, I think, same as you. That's the bit that just didn't quite work for me.
Yeah. I mean, let's skip to the end then, because I mean, it is a lot of dawdling around and sort of them just chatting with each other. Apart from that, the end where you've got the confrontation between Jack O'Connell and Ralph Fiennes, both acting masterclasses, going toe to toe, and really quite humorous as well. I did find this film quite funny. I think that's where maybe I got through the gore by laughing at it quite a bit. It sort of cuts away, and you can see other people reacting to the screams. And they're like, "Huh, that sounds a bit more than usual. Hope they're all right." And also the scene right at the start where you have got Spike fighting. He's called Jimmy Shite, apparently. Okay. He just gets stabbed in like what I presumed was the knob at first, but no, it was his sort of artery in his thigh. And the way he just bleeds out in such a pathetic way. He's like, "Oh no, oh guys, help." And everyone's just standing there watching like, "Sorry, mate."
That's how we work.
Yeah, but that I found quite funny, to be honest. So I think it does a good job of injecting some dark humour there. And also the lines about the NHS that Dr. Kelson has was really sweet.
That got a really big laugh out of our cinema.
Yeah, yeah.
People love that line.
Especially post-COVID, I'd be out clapping for
Bagging pots for
banging pots.
Gelson.
Yeah, yeah. NHS hero. Yeah, the final scene where he's got to pretend to be the devil, I guess, was really fun. I liked it.
Yeah, I think it's so cool. The build up, the scene with with Jack O'Connell and Ray Fiennes speaking really heart to heart and brings him down, Jack O'Connell down a peg. It's sort of like, it does humanize him a bit because he's so over the top and so like sadistically evil in what he's doing. And obviously, because you get that clip of him, don't you, of him at the beginning of the apocalypse, I guess he really is just growing up thinking that his dad is Satan, that he's just a nutter, isn't he? Like,
Yeah.
he hasn't had a normal life. So it's actually kind of feasible. And I think seeing him talk one-on-one with Kelson and not bullshit, he knows that he's bullshitting a bit, but he genuinely does think his dad is Satan, which is like a really cool plot. And when he's like, right, I need to bullshit my followers into believing this, can you do it with me? I was like, where's this going? I don't know what we're going to get from Ralph Fiennes here, because I hadn't really had any spoilers. I'd seen the poster with him with all the makeup on, but that's it. And then the moment he pulled out that Iron Maiden vinyl, I was like, right, okay, I can see what's going on here. And then, we get the scene of them playing Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden. The needle drops in this film should absolutely be on that category that Josh invented last week for the Oscars, because every single one, whether it's Girls on Film, Rio, Ordinary World, Save a Prayer, like all these Duran Duran songs that are constantly flowing through the film. And then, Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden, and him putting on this absolute performance of a lifetime. It's so good. It just makes you grin from absolute ear to ear. Everyone in the cinema was chuckling and knowing you can hear people smiling. Like, that's what we had. It was just so much fun and so cool. And as it was going on, I was like, oh, okay, this is getting better and better. They're just really reveling in this scene. This is clearly the big finale, and I really did love it. I think it was so cool.
Yeah. I think that the fact that it builds up to him being crucified on the cross upside down, and then because he's obviously been, he's inhaled those drugs that I guess Kelson sort of exposes them to, and then sees Samson as the devil. I think that was sick. That I particularly liked.
The huge horns, and he sort of had like armor on.
Yeah,
and it was like, this is really cool. Like, and I want to see that costume behind the scenes.
And it strips away this guy who's for the whole film seems like someone you really can't even get close to killing, and then he's just there slowly bleeding out. And like you can see he's a blubbering mess, bless him, and like it's almost not his fault because he's just mad. And then you can see like the whole sort of his disillusion fades away, and he's just crying for his mum. And I think it's quite depressing actually. Now I think about it, maybe that didn't hit me at the time. It's actually really sad. But I was giggling my way through that end. I thought it was so funny. I was like, yeah, that's what you deserve, mate.
Yeah, it's tied up. He's an absolute vile person. I mean, skinning families and skinning people, killing people. Like, he's abhorrent. So it's well deserved, and it's so, like you've said, it's so fitting him being crucified on an upside down cross. Like, it's excellent. I think it's worth mentioning as well. I think Ralph Fiennes is so bloody good in this film. I think genuinely like up their performances with me. I was literally watching a video last night where they were going through his performances for like Schindler's List and just going through them. I think it's so good. I think he brings such a slightly crazy, not crazy is the wrong word, but just he's been in an apocalypse for this long. He's obviously going to be affected by it. And you can see he's got that slightly sort of, bewildered or a little bit loopiness to him when he's dancing with Samson to Duran Duran on the hill. And then he just takes it fully down. And you've got that scene of him like undressing in the bunker, which is clearly a parallel to Samson, isn't it? And he's like filthy, and he's got his little home there, and he's still doing the burning the bodies. He's still collecting people and making this shrine to them. And that final scene where he realizes it's Spike and you've got him dying. I think he's really, really good in this film. I don't think they could have got a better actor for this. And to see someone at his age now, because he's getting on, isn't he? But how much he sort of revels in this role, and seeing him dance around with that music on, it's so cool. I think he's absolutely great.
Yeah, he carries the film for me for sure.
Yes.
It wouldn't work if it was anyone else doing it. And you're right, that he has a huge amount of range in this film. Like, he's got to do so much different stuff over the course of it's not a long run time by any stretch. It's only 109 minutes, I think. Yeah, you're right. He's bloody good, and it's actually mad that he's not got an Oscar.
Yeah.
He's been nominated, of course, before, but my God, he deserves a win at some point. And I don't know, I can't wait to see what it will be. I hope that when he does win it, it's for a role that's really good, and not just
something
like a sort of
phenomenal. Yeah.
not just a career, but one, because that always sort of undercuts it a bit. But he absolutely deserves to win for something major, because, as you say, he always on top form.
It might be worth mentioning as well, the lore development and that finale, I guess. So yeah, we have Kelson, who has sort of worked out that this drug is entitled by rage, and you get a hint of that when you see the zombies through Samson's eyes, and he sees that people are, I don't know what that face was, but it was horrible. And you're like, right, okay, it is psychosis, and he
Yeah.
realizes that, and you get that scene with Choy Lewis Parry on the train, and all of a sudden he just goes, I haven't got a ticket. And people in our cinema are like, oh my God,
Yeah.
like what? We had audible gasps, and with the zombies realizing and him still defeating them even when he's bitten. So clearly he's able to survive still. So cool. And
Yeah.
obviously he carries off Kelson at the end, and we don't see Kelson die. So I don't think they would bring him back, but I don't know if they are trying to do that. I don't know if maybe now Samson is a functioning human almost. I don't know. It's interesting that we just didn't see Kelson die, but the lore development of that is so cool. I loved it.
I thought we did see him die just because the camera sort of copied the same movement it did when Spike's mum died in the last one. It does the pan up and you see the whole
Jodie
circle.
Comer, yeah, when it panned up. Yeah, true.
And it also sort of harkened back to, you know, at the start of the film when I thought this was actually really great. It's such a subtle, small moment, but I really wanted to shout it out now I remember it. Jack O'Connell at the start of the film when the other Jimmy dies, and he just does this really subtle hand movement where he kind of throws his soul up to the sky, like just turns his hand upwards.
Yeah.
And it's the smallest thing. And I think like there's no soundtrack at that moment or anything. It's just deadly quiet. And he does this small little movement. And I think that is like so cool. It's really dark. Like it's like this man thinks he's got power over life and death. And just that tiny little movement I thought was impeccable and added a huge amount to his character. And it's only in like the first 5 minutes. Really enjoyed that.
And then let's talk about that cameo at the end, shall we?
Yeah, of course.
What was your opinion when they brought Cillian Murphy in? Everyone knew it was happening because Danny Boyle spoiled it, which is so on him. It's so stupid. I actually kind of annoyed at him for doing that, because that would have been such a good payoff. Like, right, we've had this whole film.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Cut to Jim from the first film. Bloody hell. But no, Danny Boyle spoiled it.
Yeah.
Bad on his part, and I think Nia DaCosta would be pissed off if I was there. But yeah, what's your opinion on bringing him back in?
Do you know what? I love Cillian Murphy as much as the next guy. I'm always like a bit sort of reserved about him being in the 28 Days Later franchise, because you go back and watch it, he's great. Obviously, it was like his sort of rise to fame in that film, but he's only a career. Like he's only a delivery driver, right? He's not anyone special. He's just a bloke that was in a coma. Like he doesn't do anything crazy cool in that film, I wouldn't say. So I was like, I don't know if I really care about him being back. He's just a bloke. But actually, seeing that he's somehow built this fortress and like a normal life for his daughter, and is a teacher, and he looks great. It's just sort of Cillian Murphy. He's not got too much hairstyling done or anything, in these really idyllic highlands. And then the theme music kicks in, and you're like, you know what?
Yeah.
I am there for the next one for sure. And I really didn't expect to have that reaction at all. I sort of smiled, and like I think I actually had one of the louder reactions in the room even, which surprised me after being somewhat underwhelmed by the film on the whole. But that really did elevate it, I think, by at least half a star or a star for me. Yeah, really great scene.
And obviously leaving it on a cliffhanger. So let's hope that third one gets greenlit, eh?
Yeah, fingers crossed.
The new Brendan Fraser film, directed by Hikari, we've got Rental Family. Adam caught this at a screen unseen. Did you know this was the film going in? Did you guess the clues from Odeon? And how was the film, Adam?
I did know it was going to be this going in. I double checked it with someone working at Cineworld, and they said, yes, it is. But I had a hunch after the questions, and a lot of the people online sort of worked together to figure these things out. So yeah, really chuffed that it was Rental Family. Got to see it a week early. It's out now. It's a beautiful film. It's a comedy first and foremost, but just a really kind of interesting plot that sort of sinks itself into the Japanese culture. That I think this does actually happen there. They have these businesses where you can buy. I mean, it sounds really dodgy, but you can buy friends and you can buy people that spend time with you. It's obviously Japan has an aging population and loneliness is a huge problem over there. And I think, to be honest, it could be something we're battling in the UK and down the line. And Brendan Fraser plays this struggling actor called Philip van der Ploeg, who lives in Tokyo and is sort of bouncing around from different jobs to job, sometimes not getting the roles he wants, sometimes just getting really small roles in adverts. He had success about 7 or 8 years earlier in a toothpaste commercial, which is really hammy. It's in the trailer. Really good fun. And he's then sort of moved to Tokyo to try and capitalize on this sort of very, very low level fame, like D-list tier actor. And it's really great. So he then gets picked as the token white guy at this business called Rental Family. So it's his job to go to clients and perform as whatever they require him to be. So sometimes the clients are booking him on behalf of family members, and other times it's clients booking them for themselves. So, for example, he goes and plays video games with someone as like a mate. He goes and does karaoke with an older lady. And then you also get these experiences where he's sort of given more tough roles. So it starts out the way you kind of are dropped into this business is the first role he's given is a husband or a fiance, which is a huge, thing to pretend to be, obviously, and he's not very comfortable with it at all. So he has to pretend to marry this woman to impress her parents. And I don't want to spoil it because I think it's a real great scene and it really gets you in the feels. You then find out why she needs a fake husband, and I think it's a beautiful moment. Yeah, won't say any more on that, but it really cements this business as like, oh, I see why this exists. And yeah, it's a little bit morally grey, but actually it changes people's lives for the better, and it's wonderful. So he then takes up a few more roles, one of them being the dad of a half Japanese girl named Mia. She's got a single mum who needs help basically in getting her enrolled into a private school. So it's his job to kind of help her do the exams and do the family quizzes that they need to do to get into this very prestigious school. They grow quite close though, and actually she sort of initially doesn't like him at all, but then actually grows to really care for him and start texting him even when he's not on duty, as it were, which obviously crosses a few safeguarding rules, but they don't really get bogged down in that. I would have thought that would be an issue, but I guess not. The actual issue is that because he then needs to go, obviously he can't be her dad forever. He's then got to say goodbye. So it puts the mum in a difficult situation because when he eventually has to go, she's going to get pissy, and lo and behold, that does happen. Then the other sort of plot that's going on is when he's not doing that, he has to pretend to be a journalist, like we do, and and he has to interview this old actor who's retired, and I think is probably suffering with dementia or Alzheimer's, that sort of thing. So he's really paranoid that basically people are forgetting his work. So it's his job to go and interview him and work on a fake documentary / book that obviously isn't actually happening. But he then keeps asking him to do favors, like take him back to his hometown and revisit something. And again, I won't get into spoilers with that, but that becomes, I think that plot line is almost a bit kind of like, okay, where's this going? And actually, it made me cry where it ends up. Incredibly impactful. So Yeah, I won't say any more than that. I think you should go and see it. It's really funny. And it made me cry about a couple of times actually. And obviously, screen unscenes are normally attended by folks who love film. They want to see something, even if they don't know what it's going to be. And you can tell after coming out of these screen unscenes. Sometimes people walk out as soon as the title comes up. They're like, "Nope, don't want to see this," which is always so annoying.
That's insane to me. That's
Yeah,
proper insane.
I can only presume they've got My Limitless and then can afford to walk out, right? Because
Absolutely.
it's free. But yeah, it does irritate me when people do that. Most people stayed. I think there was only 2 or 3 walkouts, and it was pretty much packed. I think a lot of people wanted it to be Rental Family. There was a little cheer when it came up, which is nice.
Yeah, that's cute.
And when people walked out, there was a really lovely sense of what a beautiful little film. Like, that's really sweet. It's not got any nominations at the Oscars this year, but I think it's really beautiful. Perhaps a bit overly sentimental. I've seen people critique the score in particular for being quite, it really tries to get you to cry because it's
Mm.
beautiful pieces of music. I said in my Letterboxd review, it's basically the backing vocals for a Noah Khan song, which, like, obviously that's going to get you teary eyed because they're heavenly. And that is the case. And I actually quite like the score. But as I say, it really got me, and I wasn't expecting it to upset me. I think some of the acting in there is a little bit cheesy. It's very sentimental. It's very, by its very nature, you're kind of cutting through vignettes of impactful moments in people's lives. For example, a wedding. He's a guest at a funeral at one point. He has to say, like, reunite with a long lost daughter and then say goodbye to a long lost daughter. Like, it's all these things that
Yeah, the
in anyone's
huge,
life.
impactful things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's sort of like, as a job, deliberately going from one to the other, that's gonna sort of trip you up. It's sort of a little bit um cheeky that it can do that, but I think it's sort of, it pays off, I would say. And I thought the actor who plays the older man in the film is brilliant. You've Let me try and get his name. Akira Emoto, he was fantastic, really great. Again, I won't spoil that whole plot line. It goes to a place that's really heartbreaking and so wonderful, and I can imagine probably happens to old people all the time. It was really sweet. It was about like long lost love and even though your life's moved on, kind of paying homage to something that you've said goodbye to decades ago, and it really got me. And then yeah, the young girl who plays Mia as well. Some of the best kid acting I've seen in ages, and I've seen Hamnet quite recently. Shannon Mahina Gorman was excellent. I don't know how old she is, probably 10. She was brilliant in here, so props to her as well. Brendan Fraser, there's just something about, I'll finish with this. There's something about Brendan Fraser that I think is so unique to him. And I haven't seen The Mummy. I've only seen him in The Whale, actually. But you can tell through interviews and the way that people talk about him that he's really beloved in the industry. People are excited to see him back. And I think this is a role that really leans into that. He's got such wonderfully caring eyes and a really, a really bright smile that I think when you're watching him, you can't help but feel this warmth and just easily connect with him. And there's a softness in his voice and a delicate delivery that he has in this film that for some people might find that a bit irritating maybe because it can be quite sort of wistful and like, oh, like he's sort of going around asking questions about things he doesn't know. It's like, oh, so why do you do this business? And people are like, responding to him, and he's always got a question. He's always sort of looking quite doughy-eyed, I suppose. But I really liked it. It makes you lean into him. He's really lovable, and you want to give him a hug, and I think that works for the role that he's playing here. So I liked it. I liked it a lot. I had a really good time with it. As I say, perhaps a little bit sentimental at times, too, sort of crosses the boundary maybe, but I really liked it. Would recommend it for sure.
I've seen nothing about it. I've seen zero. I didn't even see a trailer for it. But it sounds cute. It sounds like you said maybe overly sentimental, but it does sound nice. It seems like it would be a good film to watch when you're a bit sad and you
Yeah.
just want to wallow in some sentimental film, like when
Yeah.
you feel like watching
The
something a bit like
opportune
that.
time to watch this would be a Sunday night. If you've got the Sunday night
I was literally
scaries,
about to say a Sunday Night Scaries. Yeah,
sit down and watch this with a cup of tea and I don't know,
some
some
bourbons.
biscuits. Yeah, you would have a great time. And I think it would set you up. You'd have a little cry, but it's really uplifting at the same time. and it would set you up for the week perfectly. I think you'd have a really nice night's
Yeah,
sleep
you'd probably make
afterwards.
you go like, "Oh, okay, my life's not. It could be worse." Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Adam's on a roll this week. Not only has he managed to catch Bone Temple, Rental Family, work at the BBC, work at Bournemouth University, he's also seen No Other Choice, the new film by Park Chan-Wook. Have you seen any other of Park Chan-Wook's films? Because he is really highly regarded, and personally, I've only seen Old Boy, so it's a big spot in my filmography that I unfortunately haven't seen much of. Yeah, have you seen much? And then how was this film? It seems good. The trailer got me really interested when I caught it. Has like a weird uneasiness to the trailer.
Yeah.
Almost a bit Yorgos Lanthimos-y, just sort of that slightly violins creaking, and it's got that sort of a bit uneasy creepiness. Yeah, how was the film, Adam? Take it away.
Yeah, you're totally right. Very well regarded director. I haven't seen any of his other work. Haven't seen Old Boy. I've heard great things. This is a black comedy, a bit of a thriller as well in the second half. That's all pinned around a brilliant performance from Lee Byung-hun. I think is the main character in it. Apologies about pronunciation if I've mucked that up. But he basically gets fired from this factory job. It's a huge industry in Asia, of course, making paper, and it's kind of a commentary on the state of big industry cuts, essentially. The fact that AI and machinery is taking over human roles that have been done for like 25, 30, 50 years. So you've got all these all these employees that have been let go, and obviously the main character is one of them, and he's really annoyed. So he's got this beautiful house. He's sort of living this idyllic life. You see him doing a barbecue at the start of the film. You've got a blossom tree is like sort of wilting in the background, and that's sort of blowing leaves all over the place. It's gorgeous. Like he's got 2 dogs, a teenage son, a young daughter, a beautiful wife, all very supportive and getting along together. Son is obsessed with Netflix. Daughter's obsessed with the dog. I think she plays violin. Not violin. Is it violin? She plays some string instrument. I didn't actually pay attention to what it was. I don't know my music enough. But she's apparently extremely gifted, but is sort of has communication problems. I think sort of neurodivergent, and doesn't play her music at all in front of the family, which, as you can imagine, is a cello, by the way, is what it is. That's what it is. As you can imagine, that sort of comes back into the fold towards the end of the film. I'll say no more. So the whole point of this film, the whole kind of comedic premise, is that he decides the only way he's going to get hired again, after obviously going through the unemployment cycle, going to job interviews and not getting lucky, is he has to go out. He puts up a fake job application, basically, a fake job advertisement, I should say. Everyone replies to it. He then picks the best CVs, highlights through them all, grades them, and then is like, right, yeah. And then he then obviously has all the details of the employees, like their addresses, their phone numbers, what they look like with their photos and things. And then he's got this hit list of I think three top employees that in his mind is the 3 that are better than him. So it's like, right, if I go out and kill these 3 people, I'm definitely going to get the job. Okay.
That's such a good concept. I knew it was him killing people from the trailer. I didn't realise that's what it was. That's so good.
And of course, you've got the iconic poster now that's just him looking sweaty as anything. He's holding up this huge plant pot in a really funny scene. This is where he initially goes to find someone. Someone's on a phone call. He's sort of following them. Then they stop to take a phone call behind a wall, and he sort of has to do a figure of 8 and kind of awkwardly run back up the steps, then stand above him on this ledge. Is about to drop the plant pot, and then an old lady behind him is like, "Oh, do you like the view there, do you?" He's like, yeah, and like they're kind of having the same conversation, but about 2 different things. She obviously doesn't know that that he's trying to kill someone, so it's really darkly funny, and particularly the first half is brilliant. There's a moment where he doesn't follow through on that particular occasion, but there's a moment where he chases down another one of these potential employees, tracks him for about a week, works out his patterns, looks at his house, works out where the CCTV is, sneaks in one day, and then discovers that his wife, this other employee's wife, is having an affair with this other guy. So when he eventually goes to try and kill him, the guy then thinks that he's the main character's the one that's having the affair, but it's not. So then you've got this whole altercation where he thinks it gets so intertwined and messy, and it sounds really complicated. I won't bother explaining it, but it really is one of the best scenes, one of the best sequences I've seen in ages, because it's so funny. And you have this altercation between him, the employee, and the wife, where there's one gun involved. Like, he's actually quite reluctant to kill anyone. Like, he's never killed someone before, obviously, so he's actually not sure he wants to follow through on it. You've got the other guy who's distraught that his wife's having an affair, presumes that it's him, and is just a blubbering mess. He's an alcoholic. Like, he's also unemployed, but is going for this job, obviously. And he's like, is it because I'm unemployed? Is that why you're about to shoot me? And it's like, no, it's not that. And he's like standing up like he's an HR like manager. And it's just so good. And then it's almost like the husband doesn't really care if the wife gets shot. The wife doesn't really care if the husband's out the picture now. Then they have this whole fight while this music is absolutely turned up to 11, like blasting out the speakers, a bit like in 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, actually. He turns up the music so the gunshots can't be heard. And you've just got this whole scene where everyone's shouting at each other and like slowly like crying hysterically and like angrily hitting each other, and then like fighting over this gun. And you've got this three-way fight between people who are not trained at all to fight each other. They're just like squabbling, trying to get this gun. And then someone gets accidentally shot, and then they start screaming, and it's absolute chaos. And it's about a third of the way through or halfway through. And I was absolutely in stitches. It was packed, this showing, because we all thought it was going to be Oscar nominated. Turns out it wasn't, but it should be. And we were all absolutely pissing ourselves. It was so cathartic. It was one of the funniest things I've seen. And I'm going to try and watch it again just for that moment, because it was so brilliant. Yeah, the film goes from there. He then obviously tracks down the other two folks, and I won't go into how it all plays out. But the film wraps up actually by making a statement about deforestation and about AI and all these sweeping topics that I think are really important. Whether or not it earns it after being such a sort of hilarious romp of a film, I don't know. It's an excellent satire, and it also gets quite dark and quite depressing at the end. But it always not undercuts it, but it always levels it by including a joke, some sort of physical comedy or humorous image that just, like someone fist bumping after they've done something stupid. Like it's just so wonderfully fun and playful. And I was saying off before recording, cinematography in this is incredible. It's beautifully shot. You've got these really wide shots of these excellent locations, of these ground houses on hilltops in South Korea, and these trees that are bright yellow with leaves, and then other ones that are green, and the leaves are falling, and wide shots of people running after each other and chasing, and there's snakes in this film that bite people, and it's like it balls to the wall at every point. And I absolutely loved it. What a delight. I really didn't think, I thought I'd like it, but I walked out with just the biggest smile on my face. I was like, what a brilliant film. And as I say, I don't know if the final sort of cathartic statement, I guess, pays off all that well. I don't know if it's a little bit shoehorned in, I think, albeit it's quite a good point to make, but it did feel a bit out of the blue, I suppose. But my God, it's just terrific fun. And I really liked it, mate. You've got to go see it. I think you'd love it. It's for anyone that's ever been unemployed for a little bit, struggling to find a job, and then actually gets a job and then isn't that happy with it. Like, I think this speaks to you.
Yeah, that might speak to me. Jesus.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I mean, oh my God, I think you'd have such a great time with this. It's so relatable. It's just someone that's like pushed a little bit over the edge, and it's so good. Yeah, brilliant fun.
Thank you for listening to the podcast today. That's episode 96. Yeah, cheers for listening. We always appreciate it. We know we've got a few new listeners, a few new subscribers, and that kind of thing. If you are listening, really appreciate it. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, which we would absolutely love, any kind of participation, we're really appreciative of, and really want some participation. It's great when we hear from you. Please do email in. The email address to do that is hello@movieonup.com.
You can also head to our social pages on Instagram and TikTok. Handles for both those platforms are at Movie On Up.
Bit of an odd one next week. There's not much out, really. A very quiet week. I don't know what that's about. We've got Primate coming out. I've sort of heard bad things about it, so I don't think I'll be catching that. I don't think it will be Adam's cup of tea either, unfortunately. He could handle the skinning in 28 years later, but I don't think he could handle people's faces being ripped off left, right and centre.
Yeah.
So maybe give that one a miss, mate.
Yeah. What I am going to watch, though, is Mercy, the new Chris Pratt, Rebecca Ferguson film that looks AI generated. It's all about AI. And people have said is crap. So I'm very excited to rant about that next week. I feel like we could have another War of the Worlds on our hands, which makes me incredibly excited. I can't wait.
And then I've also been watching Heated Rivalry, the new TV show that is taking the gay world by storm. I've just finished that, so I'm going to do a little review of that, talk about that, some mixed opinions. And then also we've got the new Game of Thrones TV show, A Hedge Knight, Duncan Egg, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, based on the book by George R. R. Martin, of course, and he's working on it. Yeah, we had the first episode on Sunday, and so second episode will be coming out this Sunday. So yeah, I'm going to watch that and give a little review, a couple of first thoughts about that.
Nice, a good mix of things coming your way next week then, so do stick around. Check out our TikTok for sure. I know we plugged it just a moment ago, but we've been putting up some clips from our episodes recently. I did some Jeff Goldblum and Harry Styles impressions, which annoyingly, it's always the case. You put like minimal effort into a TikTok and it bangs, which is so irritating. Anyway, thank you if you're here from that. We do impressions occasionally, not this episode, but sometimes. So stick around if you want to hear more of them, and I hope you have a lovely week, folks. Get in touch, as we say. Email us your thoughts about the Oscar nominees. What do you think was snubbed? What do you think should win? All that stuff. We'd love to hear it. And yeah, let us know what you've been watching. We want to know.
Yeah, let us know what you thought about Ralph Fiennes hanging dong in Bone Temple.
Do you reckon he had a prosthetic?
No way, that was real. He's done naked scenes before. Definitely real.
Oh, you recognise it? Okay.
Yeah.
Ralph Fiennes, if you're listening, fair play.